I'm going to get started here with the Aileron Bellcrank assembly. It says here, press the bearing into the Aileron Bellcrank pulleys. Well, I've already done that. I actually did this several months ago, right after I had gotten these parts back from anodizing. You may recall in a previous video, I had these parts, along with many others, anodized. And these parts specifically, the pulleys, I had hard coat anodized with a PTFE Teflon coating. And the reason was the control cable is a stainless steel cable is going to ride in this groove, and I just prefer anytime I'm going to have that kind of a stainless steel control cable or a steel cable up against aluminum. I really would want that to be coated, so I went with a hard coat PTFE just for durability and longevity. That's why these are black. From the factory, you're just going to get these in a natural machined aluminum finish. So anyways, I've got the bearings put in here. I did find, as the manual said, that I had to heat up the pulley. I just put these in a toaster oven, I think at like 300 degrees. And then I put the bearings in my freezer for about an hour. And once the pulleys were up to temperature, got the bearings out, set it down, and they just literally dropped into place. I let everything come to normalized temperature, and they kind of press fit themselves in at that point. And then I put the snap ring in. So that part's already been done. Next, it says to use a 5/8 drill in the Bellcrank tube mount. I did find, I've actually already done this one. I did find that due to the powder coat, it was a little bit tight getting the pin in place. I haven't done this one yet. I'll go ahead and do that. I'll take the spindle here, push it through the bearing, through the snap ring side of the pulley, and then that'll get inserted into this end, the taller end of the tube, like so. And then this will get an AN4-7 drilled head bolt with a little bit of Loctite. It gets safetied as well after. Well, after a couple attempts at safety wiring these, this is what I settled on. Just looped it through here first, twisted the safety wire up and around this washer over to this side of the nut, the bolt, and went through and just did your standard wiring after that. Tried it a couple different ways. This seems to be the best. No way that's gonna go anywhere. Plus with the Loctite, should be good to go. Gonna put the rod ends on next. These here. This, I guess, is where I end up making a left and right of these assemblies, because the rod end can either go on one of these two holes. In this case, looks like a left wing. It's going to be this way. Let me look at the drawings here. Yeah. So this will be the left side. Rod end will go on this hole here. Next up is the flat Bellcranks. It's very similar, not exact. It does have these cable guides here, which are part of the assembly. And you don't thread an AN4 into the spindle. It just gets an AN3 all the way through. But I'll go ahead and get this going here. I'm doing something a little different. I'm going to use a 970 washer, just a little more bearing surface against this HDPE here. And I'm going to use a thick nut instead of the thin shear nut. gonna work on the leading edges here, the spars, the main spars. What I need to do is I need to deburr them, all of the holes here, these drilled holes. There's quite a few of them here. And then I want to break the edges of these lightning holes here. The insides and outsides are extremely sharp, razor sharp. And I want to deburr those, knock those down. Also these holes here. For that task, for the lightning holes, I'm going to use this deburring tool. And then for the holes, I'll use my old in and out deburring tool. I've already done this spar here. Already went through and did that the other day. Turned out quite nicely. I can actually run my fingers across here. After I deburred on the lightning holes, after I deburred with this tool, I came in with some, I think this is like some 320. Yeah, 320. And I just went in and just kind of hit all the edges inside and out and just smooth those up a little bit. So I'll go ahead and get that done on this second spar. So I got these all done. All of the drilled holes here are deburred. All the lightning holes are deburred as well. And here's why it's important to do this. If you look in here, look at all this debris. This is all debris from the edges of all of these holes, all the way down. There's a lot. And I noticed when I looked inside the spar, before I did anything, I could see all the little burrs hanging off the holes, like hanging chads. Some of you might remember that. Look at all of that. So definitely something you want to do. And what's nice now is when I'm reaching in here towards the middle here to put the fittings in, or to get the nuts and everything in there, I'm not going to be slicing my arms or my hands. And to be honest with you, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to do this. I have pretty big hands, and I can't get my hand in there. I know Derek showed a trick where you could reach in this way and then turn your hand. I'm afraid as I start to get in there that I'm gonna get stuck. So I may enlist some smaller hands when I get to that stage. But at least when that happens, these are nice and smooth. I mean, I can run my fingers on here, no problem. If I did this before, I would have sliced my fingers like crazy. So I'll dump all the debris out of there. And then one thing I did on the other spar that I haven't done on this one yet is I took some Scotch-Brite and I just kind of cleaned up the whole surface. You can kind of see this one has got a little bit more of a brushed finish versus that one. And that was just to kind of clean up. There was some sticky residue from the tape and just some very small, not even nicks, more just markings you can kind of see here from just rubbing against other things in transit or whatever. So I'll smooth all that out. And then the leading edges then are done. And then what I'll do is get the aft spars up here. I think those get some deburring action as well. And get those done up there. Here's the aft spars. And yep, same thing here. I'll do some deburring on all these drilled holes, lightning holes. These are also very sharp. Get these done all the way down. Get this tape off. I know I've said it before, but I really dislike that RANS packs this with clear cellophane packing tape. Aft spars are complete, all deburred, cleaned up. They were easier than the leading edges, front spars, because you can get to the lightning holes here from both sides. And there aren't as many of them. They're just down at one end. So I got those all deburred, got all the tape goo taken off, everything's cleaned up. As I started laying the front left spar up here and getting the truss in place to get ready to bolt it here, I realized that I have a decision to make. And that decision, let me get this out of the way, has to do with the landing light. So I purchased the Aerosport wingtips with the landing light option. So it's got the clear lens that you cut out the front of it and you put a clear lens in, and there's a housing for a landing light. But I like a lot of light. And I was thinking I might put the RANS landing light in here, and then also have my Aerosport light. I think the RANS landing light is brighter from what I've heard. So I have a decision to make. Do I do that, or do I do the Aerosport landing lights? I'm also not convinced that I'm really gonna do the Aerosport. I bought that version, I have all the parts to do it. I can choose to not cut out the leading edge of it and just go with the RANS landing lights. I'm kind of inclined to do that right now, see what kind of light I get from that. And if I'm okay with it, then I'm good. If I want more light, I can always take off the wingtip and install those in after the fact. I'll just run my wiring out there so that if I do decide to do that, it's a pretty easy thing to do. That's kind of what I'm thinking right now. But I need to settle on that, because if I'm gonna put the landing lights in the spars, I might as well do that now while nothing is bolted to them and I have access to move them around easily. So I'm gonna stop for today. I'm gonna kick this around and I'll make my decision. Well, I've decided I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I'm gonna go ahead and put the RANS landing lights in, the ones they include. And at a later date, I may or may not put the Aerosport lights in. I probably will. But what the heck? I mean, you can't have too much light, right? So, and maybe I won't do the Aerosport lights like I mentioned, and save a little weight and whatever, but I will go ahead and do this. So I got the left leading edge up here. This is the outboard end, and I'm looking at the figure here, getting an idea on my measurements for the cutout here. So I'm gonna start getting this laid out. Got my spar all marked out according to the figure here. It comes with this template that you can place on here. I actually just found it easier to take the measurements and just transfer that over here, just using a tape measure, ballpoint pen. I did hold this up just because I was curious to see, and when I hold it up to it, like so, everything lines up. So you could tape this on and then you take a Sharpie and make these lines, but I prefer just to, like I said, I prefer to lay it out and use a ballpoint pen and get a nice fine line that way, exactly where I need to cut. So now what I need to do is go ahead and number 11 drill bit, so for the corners. So I need to figure out what the diameter of the number 11 drill bit is, come in half that diameter, come down half that diameter, punch it at each of those locations, and then go ahead and drill those number 11s, and that should put the corners tangent with the lines. And at that point, then you're just connecting the dots. And for that, I will probably try using my air saw. I think the air saw is probably gonna be, how thick is this? Yeah, I'll probably try the air saw. And then I'll come in with a file and clean it up. But the air saw lets me get really accurate lines, and it cuts real nicely. All right, I've got my center punches. They're kind of hard to see, but they're there right here. here and down there. Now I need to drill. This is one of those scary things, because it's kind of like once you start doing this, you're doing it. And if you screw up a spar, that's a very expensive mistake. Not so much in the material, although I'm sure this piece isn't cheap. It's the shipping to get it here. So I am gonna double check this. I did double check it before I punched, but I'll do it again, and I'll just very carefully come in here with my drill. I think what I might do is undersize the holes. I'll pilot it first with maybe an 1/8 inch, and then I'll open up to the number 11. That cut turned out okay, but I'm not happy with how the tool is kind of marking up the spar right here, so I should have thought about that. I'm gonna put some tape around this, and that way I don't have anything. This I can Scotch-Brite out, but I don't want to do anything with the others. So let me put some tape around this, and then I'll finish the cuts. All right, there we go. It's rough cut. I need to come in here now, pull off my tape, and get in there with a file, clean everything up. But it turned out okay. I might try on the other one. I might try a cutoff wheel with a die grinder. I've seen that done. This was a little tedious, and it's just, I don't know. It didn't go as I thought it might, but it isn't bad. When I clean this up, it's not gonna matter. But yeah, there we go. One down, at least the rough cut part. Let's get this off. Oh yeah, there we go. That's gonna clean up real nice. This is how you know you've been working on aluminum. Look at this. Like the Tin Man. All right, so anyways, I got this all pretty much filed out. I don't have a number 11-ish sized round rat tail file. I want to go in there and just clean up the corners. I'll buy one and get those corners cleaned up. And there's just a little bit of work yet I need to do there, but basically this is all smoothed out, and that turned out pretty good. A lot of filing. I undersized the cut and just filed to the line the best I could. It's not as nice as if this had been CNC. It'd be nice if they could, if you order the wing light or the landing light option on the wings here, be nice if they had a cutouts already in the spars. Come in here, machine this, come up and around and over. You probably need a 5-axis machine to really do that right. But this works fine. So yeah, I'll get the little corners cleaned up just a little bit with a little file. Just another little bit of light sanding, and we should be good there. Now I want to put the landing light in. So I've got the light out. I attached the brackets that they include with the kit. And basically it's gonna kind of sit like so. And you just center your light, left to right in there. Also angle it so it's parallel. And then once you get it where you like it, mark them holes there. These 4 on this bracket, these 4 on this one, and that just gets riveted in place. So I'll get this laid out, get those marked, center punched, and drilled. Got that light in there, pretty easy. This task really wasn't that difficult. Cutting it out is the hardest part. And the air saw did okay. I still am wondering if I might, on the right wing, if I might try my die grinder with a cutoff wheel and see if I can get maybe a better result there. Maybe not better, just easier. I think it might be a little easier doing it that way. Anyways, I don't know. I'll give that a thought. But this turned out nice. Nothing to it. Got the right side wing spar sitting up here on the bench, and I was looking at the manual. And what I want to do next is I'm going to put these doublers on the spars. These pieces here. I've gone ahead, I didn't anodize these. I didn't want to anodize any high stress components. And these are where the wings attach to the fuselage. These are the doublers for that. So I didn't want to anodize that. What I did want to do is just paint it where the doubler contacts the spar. I just didn't want aluminum on aluminum. If you get a little moisture in there, you could over time possibly get a little corrosion between those two. So I went ahead and painted one side, the side that would contact the spar, and I've clecoed those two in place there. And next it'll get riveted in place. And then also there's a doubler here for the truss. That I sprayed, it's still drying right now, but that will go here. I actually believe it goes, does it go on the inside? No, it goes on the outside. So I got to do that yet. And then same thing with the rear spar. Those doublers get painted and they'll get put on there as well. I've got those parts drying, but while that's drying, I'm gonna go ahead and get these riveted in place. Well, that does it for the doublers on the main spar. Truss doubler and then the wing root doublers. Now what I'm gonna do is get the aft spar doubler down here. This piece, I've already painted it. It's gonna go there. I think it's these big old rivets, these CCPQ 66s. So I'll go ahead and get those in. I'll need to change the tip of my rivet gun here for the larger size. Now I'm going to put the truss doubler on the aft spar. This, you want to make sure it goes on the opposite side of that doubler, so it goes on the inboard side. But you need to flip it over. It's going to go on this side, and it's that way right there. All right, that does it for the aft spar and the front spar in terms of doublers and landing lights. I think we'll go ahead and end this episode here. We'll call this one the wing spar prep.